What's up, y'all? This is Cliff, Black Voters Matter 365. Welcome back to Unnamed and Unbound, the Black Voters Matter podcast. You know, I am here with three super extra dope sisters, right? I can't wait to introduce them to you, but you know, there's a lot of talk about like what's going on at the federal level, obviously, what even goes on with the federal elections, the presidential that we just came off, but a lot of the work that we do is actually at the local and state level, and these are the folks that help make it happen. They lead our field team. These are our national co-directors. We got a three-headed, I won't say a three-headed monster, what's a better phrase for it? We got a three-headed dream team of co-directors that run our national field program, 33 people, 33 team members deep, and they make it happen. And so we're gonna go around and let everybody introduce themselves, starting with Danielle. Tell us your name, your states that you coordinate, and then, you know, a word about how you're feeling right now.
My name is Danielle Brown. I am the National Field Co-Director for Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. We call them, you know, our EVP states. That's what we call ourselves.
What's and the EVP stand for?
We valuable players. We the East valuable players over here.
Okay.
East valuable players,
okay,
who we are.
All right.
I mean, they are. My team is great. They did an amazing job last year, so I'm really proud of them. So they are definitely valuable players in this. But how am I feeling right now? I don't have any energy for anything that ain't me. Really. Like, you know, I'm good to get up and come to work every day. I'm good to be online. I'm good to be for my team. But all these other things that are coming, I'm just looking at it like, we told you so. So, like, you know, the answers that you're expecting from me, I can't give you, because we living in this just like you are. So, you know, we're living in a space where we have family members that are being affected right now. You know, my mom right now, her medicine is through the roof, you know, stuff that she needs every single day. And so we are coming together as a family to figure out how to take care of that. So this is already affecting me and personally. So I just don't have the space and time, you know, to really think about how other people are feeling right now, because I'm trying to deal with what's happening in my own space. So that's where I'm at.
That's real talk. That's real talk. We'll circle back to some of that. But first, Miss Fenika, tell us about your states and where you at.
Hey, y'all. I am Fenika Miller. I am the National Field Co-Director with the Dirty South States. All the Deep South States, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and the biggest state of Texas. Yeah, and I'm trying to maintain a posture of gratitude, right? But also of taking a position of what are the possibilities of what we can create in this moment together with our teams, with our partners, with folks in the movement space. I'm a little tuned out of all the chatter, the national chatter, all the things that's going on. You know, it can be hard to turn away those distractions, because you get sucked into your head always being on a swivel of wondering what's next, what's coming at you, how we're going to react. And I'm just in a space where I think this is just the opportune time for us to innovate, to create, and as Latasha always says, to radically reimagine what is possible in this moment with and for and alongside Black people.
That's right. That's right. We're definitely going to talk about some of the innovation we want to do in 25. But first, Mr. Alethea, tell us.
Hi, y'all. So I'm Alethea Bonello. I am managing our light states. We call the light states are lit. And they are South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Wisconsin, and Missouri. And in this space, I think for me, being a first-generation American of Jamaican descendants, immigration is definitely an issue. I'd say right now, my mantra is I'm protecting my peace, because there's a lot going on, but we cannot be overwhelmed and shut down on what's happening. And so even though we are aware of what's happening to people directly and indirectly, having global conversations, not just what's happening in the U.S., but how is the U.S. affecting people globally in my family, having those types of conversations as well. And so, like Fenika, I think of the Chinese symbol for crisis. They don't have a word for it. So it's the words are danger and opportunity. So there's a lot of danger, there's a lot of angst going on, but there's also a lot of opportunity that we've been here somewhat before, but not entirely. So this is an opportunity for us to innovate, to talk amongst ourselves, to go back, almost in the Sankofa moment, to retrieve those things that our ancestors were able to use, and then also to innovate it and bring it forward with the new technologies and the opportunities that we have.
All right. Alethea with the linguistic breakdown. All right. Let's go. But for real, each of y'all talked in some way about, the moment that we're in, the pressures, not feeling like we got to respond to everything. And, we know, like, we deal a lot with, obviously, voting rights, although we're going to talk a lot about, right in this segment, about how we don't just do voting rights and voter mobilization. But when we talk about voting rights, we often say, when the opposition does voter suppression, it's partially because they're trying to do this thing, they're trying to suppress the votes, but it's also because what they know is that in doing this and flooding us with it, it can take us off of our agenda for the other stuff that we're trying to do. And this moment that we're in, right, obviously, this new administration of the orange dictator and like the flood of executive orders and just all the bad stuff, it's easy to get off balance. That's part of the purpose of what they're trying to do, and to distract from the ongoing work that is so critical. So y'all, and anybody can take this, talk about, like, what does that ongoing work look like? Who do we do that ongoing work with?
We have ongoing work right now that's happening in North Carolina. There are 60,000 votes right now that are up for grabs. Literally, this is the only election in the United States that is state level that is not certified.
From November.
From November. And, the folks that are on that list, me, who left a bus tour to come home to vote, to make sure that my vote counted, is now in question. So that ongoing work, it never stopped whatsoever. But that is who we are. That's what we do. We've continued that work. We've continued going to the Capitol. We've continued having conversation, making phone calls, all the different things that we need to be able to get this election certified. But that's not the only thing, So yes, we are concentrating on that, and yes, we are, talking about those things. But we're also talking about all the different legislation that is on the table right now that's going to affect everybody locally. We're talking about the new rules and the new conversations around and the new laws around protests. We're talking about what that means for folks to even be able to go out here. In the state of North Carolina, 2 or more can be considered a riot. Used to be 2 or more, in the space was, biblically, we can make some things happen. But now they're saying 2 or more in a space is considered a riot. So these are the things that we have to face every single day, just in the state that I live in. And we're not even talking about the other states that I support, where we're talking about folks being scared to go to work because of immigration, folks being scared to come out of their house, businesses shutting down. We're not talking about kids being afraid to go to school because they don't know whether they're going to be able to come home, and if they come home, if they're going to have a family to come home to. Like, these are all real conversations. People being able to afford medication right now. These are all things that are happening every day, and these are the things that we as BVM have been fighting for as long as I've been here, which is the last 5 years. We talk about Medicaid expansion, we talk about environmental justice, we talk about education, and we talk about our youth engagement, all those types of things, and these are the things that we do every day. So it's never stopped. It's just all these distractions around it.
Right. It's interesting because, like, you're giving these examples, and it's a reminder of how some of the very things that we're fighting against and that we're seeing coming out of at the federal level are actually things that where the seeds were planted at the local level. In places like North Carolina or Florida, and certainly in some of the states that you have, right, the Deep South, that also gave us some of the very organizing,
Absolutely.
that the rest of the country has benefited from. Talk
Yeah.
to us about what's going on there, our partnerships there, and what does it mean to go back to the basics?
Absolutely. So, as Danielle said, our work continues. I think just really leaning into the core mission of Black Voters Matter and what attracted me to Black Voters Matter. I came to this work as a partner, right? And I've had the opportunity to kind of move up the ranks. And so I have organized in a county and in a state where there was no Black Voters Matter. And we were folks, Black-led, grassroots folks, just stringing two dimes together to make magic happen, right? And so to get back to those basics, this year is a municipal year. There are no off elections. There are no off years, folks. There's always an election. We've got special elections going on now. We've got over 2,000 local elections that are happening across the Deep South states that I support this year. And so working with our partners to come up with plans for how they want to do that work, how they want to lean in, how can we support them and resource them to increase their capacity to engage in that work. What does it look like to build Black political power in this space, right? And then how can we glean from those folks who have such institutional knowledge that are still within our partner network, that we can, bring, new ways of organizing into that fold and still lean deeply into what got Black folks to this moment, what brought us here, right? We've organized before. We know how to do this work. We've organized against all manner of oppressive tactics before. It may require a different strategic shift, but how can we learn from each other and still deepen that work to engage in, to build the kind of power that we want to see across the South, across the country, across all of our core states.
Right. And you mentioned core states, and one of the things that's different about your states, you mentioned our light touch states, and so we don't have as many staff in those states, or re-granting, which we should probably mention. We do a significant amount of re-granting to our partner organizations. Last year I think we had $10 million in grants directly to community-based groups, churches, and the like. So what does 2025 look like for you and the partners? Because even though we don't have staff, what we always have are partnerships, right? So what does 2025 look like to you?
I am so grateful that we have strong, committed partners in the states that I work with. As a matter of fact, I had a call this morning with one of our partners in Virginia and talked about the fact that what's been going on the federal level has impacted so many people, because it's not just the federal workers, it's the contractors, it's the military bases. And then we said the VA, there are VA veterans that didn't receive their disability checks or their medication has been disrupted. What is that rippling effect and consequences that we've seen in the past when those things happen? So this disruption, the partner talked about the fact that they're pissed and they're ready to do something about it and they're ready to organize. And so although there are some people who are in a state of fear, there are some people who are in a state of outrage, and then there are others who are ready to organize. And so being able to educate those who are in a state of fear, dismissing the disinformation, misinformation, and then also those who are angry, helping them to go ahead and taking that passion into purpose and being able to do the work, going in, whether it be a municipal election. There were a lot of mayoral elections going on. Wisconsin, for example, they have a state Supreme Court election that'll take place in the spring in April, and so we're mobilizing around that. In Virginia, there's the gubernatorial election, as well as all of the House of Delegates is up. And so what does that mean? Right now, we're all of our states are in state legislative session, and so we see that many of them are taking, some legislatures are looking at what's happening on the federal level and then mimicking it on the state level. So combating that, lobbying that, telling our people. So as one of our partners, Andrea Miller, says that you've got to be consistent and persistent when you're talking about lobbying, right? It's not a one-off thing.
Correct.
And so we've seen it with the Montgomery bus boycott. It wasn't one day, it was over a year, and it was consistent. And so looking at the things that we've seen in the past, our partners are saying that we don't understand understand what's going on. And, you know, sometimes we have to be truthful too. We don't know what the next step is either, but let's work together. And so when we work in community and partnership, we're able to bring that synergy together, the knowledge, the information, and then the action that can take place within the organizing structure to create those new strategies. And so whether it be Tennessee, you know, my regional organizer, Amber, was in the midst of something in Memphis that went down with the police and these bystanders and the way that the police treated them. So police, public safety, and also how we interact with the police is still an issue that we're dealing with in real time. And so our partners are on the ground in seeing what's happening, informing us, and then us collaborating with them to be able to create strategy to make a difference. It's still happening.
That's right. Anybody?
No, I was just going to say, you know, being able with them to plan these days at the Capitol.
Correct.
Right? And for us to be able to walk in with our own agenda as Black folks, to be deeply attuned to what's happening at the local level, how that ties into state level policy, who are the folks who are pulling the lever of power here. And so mass movement for folks, a groundswell of folks convening on capitals to kind of effectuate some change here at state and local levels.
And with that, you know, we understand that with power mapping, we're talking about who has the power. Advocacy, one definition is applying pressure to the decision-making process. So who are the decision makers? And if we feel that the decision makers are not listening to us, who are other allies? Who are other persons that can apply even more pressure on them as well as we deal in this new environment, right? This is all new to us, and so how do we navigate that? How do we go ahead? We still have the tools. We still need to come up with a strategy. We still need to be able to have that plan and then be able to execute and pivot when we need to.
And though it is new to us, one thing that's not new are our issues. Our issues never change. They don't stop nor start on election day. And we tell people that all the time. We're great at voter registration. We're wonderful at mobilizing, but we slow down when it comes to the accountability. This is now the time for the accountability. And so it has to start on the local level for people to understand that the people that you elected are the same ones you go to church with.
That's right.
You go to yoga with. You know, your kids go to school with. You go to the grocery store with. I'm quick to corner somebody in the milk department. Like, you see them eggs? They next to the milk. You see how much that is right now? Like, you need to understand, like, this grocery store is in your backyard. And when things are not coming in, we're entering into a food desert. This now becomes a problem. You know, so how are people able to afford to even come to this grocery store? And where is the food coming from if it's not getting here? And so I'm able to talk to you on a local level because I know you. And on top of that, let me remind you that I can fire you because the next election is coming around. So please keep that in the back of your mind that you're hired right now, but I need you to be accountable to what you said you were going to do when we were knocking on doors, making phone calls, and getting people to come out to go vote last year. What are the things that you were going to do? It didn't even take 7 days, and we were already talking about folks in our communities that were not standing up for us as a nonprofit. Like, what are you talking about? We just elected you in the office 7 days later. I need you to vote in my interest. And so being able to have partners to be able to pick up the phone and call that person that night at 10 o'clock at night and say, no, you're going to talk to me. And you're going to have that conversation with me, and did, for them to understand, like, this is important that you understand that the folks that you are signing against are the folks that elected you, helped get you in office.
And what does accountability look like? Right? It can look different.
Correct.
Accountability, but how do we continue to apply the pressure? Right? And then there's a level of transparency that our community members are owed. Right? If you can't make something happen in your position of influence or power, then give us an alternative.
Correct.
How can we meet in the middle, and how can we create steps that are going to not only provide what we elected you for, but also provide a level of cover and insulation for folks who will be directly impacted and harmed.
Definitely. And I think to both of your points, a lot of people are looking for a big protest at the levels that we saw in 2020. But honestly, it's those courageous conversations that happen with 2 or 3 are gathered to be able to go ahead and not just have an overview, but a top-down conversation that can influence and change people's ideology, help them to direct them to the resources that they're looking for. But it doesn't have to start at the top in a big way. But being able to have those conversations consistently, persistently
Correct.
with people in different spheres, and we're in a very intergenerational society, and so the way you say it is, one of our tenets is authentic messaging, right? So when I talk to a millennial, it's going to be different than I talk to a Gen Xer, right? Or even a traditionalist.
Correct.
And so being able to have the right content, but then to be able to speak it in a way that people can connect to it is going to be really important as well.
Yeah.
Y'all see why I got an easy job? I ain't got to do nothing. They just make it do what it do. No, I love it, and I love that each of y'all have talked about like the variety of issues that we deal with. You mentioned police violence. You mentioned like I think the cost of medicine and healthcare. We talked about voting rights. We mentioned a couple of other things. Like, what's all that got to do with Black Voters Matter? Like, aren't y'all just supposed to be registering some folks?
Stop it. I remember the first day I met Cliff. Y'all listen to this.
Wait a
now.
minute. This is
I had
censored.
a Black Votes Matter card in my car. I had a poster. I was going to do some voter registration. Cliff came to that church with about 5 partners, and he said, "No, I didn't say Black votes. I said Black voters."
Yes.
Right? Black voters. And in that moment, all those years ago, that clicked. Like, I was already doing that work, and most of our partners are already doing that work, right? But how do we frame it as what is happening in your household, right? How much are those eggs? How much are those utility bills? How many potholes you got in your street, right? That's going to affect your insurance or your shocks or the car maintenance that you have to apply. And so what I love about being in this space and with these sisters and in this organization is that we take a holistic approach, right? We're not coming to your door to ask you to register or just coming around election season, but we are doing this work 365 because the issues that happen to us don't start or stop on election day. We got highlight bills every day. We got to deal with not having clean water, clean air. We got to deal with health disparities. And so 365, y'all, Black Voters Matter. We are a power building and capacity building organization.
What she didn't mention is the way that they haze me down there in Macon Bibb County. We're not gonna talk about that right
Y'all
now.
heard that, Macon Bibb. I didn't say it.
Y'all know I love Macon Bibb, but let's talk about, so we got all these issues that we're organizing around at these different levels. We got the state and local stuff, right? We got the federal stuff that we can't ignore. And so like how does that balancing act work, right? Because we still gonna be doing the local and state stuff because there's all those policies at the state level. We still got states we trying to get to expand Medicaid, right? All of that stuff. But we also gotta figure out, and people are asking, what do we do about the stuff going on at the federal level, right? And so how do you see those two worlds meeting? Is there stuff that we can even do? Do we have to fly everybody up to DC to counteract what's going on in DC? Or how does the local work connect to?
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Right? So how do we do it at the local level? How do we impact what's this federal discussion that's going on, but still doing it at this local level? How do we do that?
Well, I think one of our another driving tenet is we work in coalition, right? So we work with our national partners. We look at who are the experts already in that space to provide that information to help us inform our strategies moving forward. And also with that, but with our partners themselves who are on the ground, who are feeling it, being able to share with us what are the things that they've done before, how that's impacted them, and knowing that we have to pivot in a way that is it's different, but it's similar, right? We still need the people. We need folks to organize and do the work. We still need people to go ahead and phone bank and go ahead and knock on those doors and have those conversations. And so we can still do the work, but we need the people.
Correct.
So people are having conversations, and we solve everything in the beauty shop and the barber shops and the beauty salons, but we got to step out and then go someplace that is actually creating the models and doing the work, because the work's got to get done. But it's the people that we haven't been able to organize as much. And so that's one of the things that my partners have been talking about is the volunteers, especially we've seen past 2020 and the pandemic, people weren't outside, but we back outside, y'all. And so in doing that, we really do have to have those one-on-one physical conversations along with the virtual impact that we can have. But as Cliff already said, we're not going to phone bank our way out of this. We've got to have those opportunities where we're showing up at the education meetings, that we're going to the county council, the county commissioners and the city council meetings, and talking with people one-on-one in the midst of what Danielle mentioned, that we got to get up in their faces and we've got to hold them accountable. So that's just one of the things that we have to do, is utilizing who we got, who's on our roster, who all out there that's going to come and help, and then being able to organize them in a way that we're not all doing the same thing at the same time. Maybe that's one strategy, but other times that we've got to go ahead and stratify in a way that this is what you do well, go ahead and do that, and I'm going to come over here, and then in the next phase we're going to come and support you in what you're doing as well.
Yeah. Recognizing everybody has a role to play.
Yep.
And employing some basic organizing principles, covert meetings. There might be some mass meeting time, y'all. Some meetings under cover of night. Correct, right? And so just thinking about how we can employ all of our learnings and all the tactics and be true to our core mission of how do our partners want to build capacity and lean in this moment. What do they envision for their own communities, and what do they want to see for their state? And how can we help them to accomplish that with our funding, with other resources, messaging? We got a menu of services over here at BVM, right, to help build this collective power.
But also being real to ourselves.
Yes, authentic.
Because the fact is, we don't know what this is going to look like.
That's
We're
right.
learning every single day. When y'all get up and learn about it, we learn about it. That's what's happening. We don't know what is happening. And it's okay not to know what to do. It's literally okay.
That's right.
I heard somebody say on a meeting the other day that we, as we're learning this, as we think we're 10 steps ahead or 2 steps ahead, there's already another executive order that's being signed. So that we don't know what it's going to look like. And so I think a lot of people are looking to us for answers that we don't necessarily have. We love y'all, but we ain't got it right now. We learning it just like you are, and I think that it's important that we are able to say that to folks, that we are real about that, and really lean into folks and be like, what are your suggestions?
Yes.
What are your thoughts? If you're going to come to me with the problem, at least give me something to go with. Like, I can't go to Cliff and say, I need X, Y, and Z without him saying, well, what is it? Like, how much is it? What's it? I got to have some details to go with it. So give me something to be able to help. And if you don't have anything, that's okay too. Just be honest about that. Because in this moment, we do not know what tomorrow is going to look like.
That's
we
right.
really don't. The last 14 days, we have had everything under the sun. We've had fires. We've had plane crashes. We folks are afraid to leave their house.
Yes.
So we have to be real about what that looks like. And even as us, even in this space, just real in the moment of, I don't even want to deal with that right now. I'm good. Like I need a moment. I need to breathe. I need to go sit down somewhere. Like I really do. Like 16 tours last year. Like that's a lot. That's a lot. I don't know how many you did, but I can't say how many you did. But over here we was 16 and 2 of them was canceled.
That's the bus tours.
Those were the bus tours, and 2 of them were canceled. So we were out there. We were in these streets. We were in communities, and our folks still have not stopped.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to take a minute and just be like, let's breathe. Let's figure it out. Let's slow down. This is coming from a person that had to be told that a lot, who literally had to be told, like, no. Like, so for me to say that comes from a genuine space of we don't know. And we need to really think about how that relates to people, because when we're honest about that, when we're honest about the fact that we don't know, it gives people a trust in us to be able to say, you know what? At least they saying they don't know. I can rock with that. I can rock with, instead of you trying to figure it out off the top of your head.
Right.
It's a trust, and it's also a breaking of like the hierarchy.
Correct.
Of, like, we're the professional organizers. You're just basic community. Wait for us to give you all the answers. It's a co-ownership that we all trying to figure this out together. But I think the one thing that we do know, so we don't have all the answers, but there are some answers we have about the way we're going to get there.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And we know that the way we're going to get there is that we've got to be in relationship
With each other.
with each other,
Yes.
with our local partners, with some national partners, right? We know that frame, that skeleton, right? Those are the building blocks
Yes.
of whatever the actual strategy
right.
is going to be. So we're going to co-create
Yes.
the strategy. So it's like folks that are like looking around and say, well, what's going on? What's this group doing? What's that group doing? Even if you don't see like the protest today, know that the discussions and the capacity building and the training and the strategizing, all that is happening.
Yeah.
Because when we roll,
Come on.
when we roll,
Yes, come
we
on.
rolling hard.
And we roll pretty
roll
big.
deep.
That's right.
Yeah, we roll pretty big. Like
Yes.
we don't do nothing small at BVM.
That's right. That's right. So be on the lookout, y'all. We've had a great conversation. I am so thankful for these three right here. If I don't tell y'all enough, I'm gonna tell you right here. We couldn't do what we do without y'all and without the entire team that we have doing this work. But y'all be on the lookout, right? Because again, when we roll hard and we roll deep, and it's coming because we fight back.
And we won't black down.
And we won't black down.
We got
Join
power.
us. That's right.
We got
That's right.
And the South is
And the
rising.
South is right. 'Cause the South got something to say.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't
That's
stop.
right. So visit our website, get on board. We got a lot of great volunteer opportunities. So.
That's right. That's right. There's like you said earlier, everybody's got a role to play.
Absolutely.
Right.
Everybody's got, and it goes for our partner organization, but it goes for each of you. So everybody, you've got a role to play. We need you. So go on, get connected. Check us out on our socials, Black Voters, MTR. We're going to give y'all the links, and we'll see you on the next one. Black Voters Matter, y'all.
All right, before we leave you guys, make sure that you are tapped in, like Cliff said, to our Facebook groups, to our State Organizing Manager Network, to our website. Make sure we want to see everybody at those days at the Capitol, and that information will be on the website.